What's going on, everybody? I'm Screech, and this is Retro Cart Collector. So on today's episode, I wanted to talk to you about my best find so far in video game collecting. And I think it's a pretty good one. I mean, I'm not a professional at this, but this was a pretty good find in my opinion. So we'll talk about it. I'll show it to you and I'll tell you the story. So this happened probably 6 years ago. I was just kind of tossing around the idea of collecting NES games at the time. I'd picked up a few here or there, just kind of get my collection that I had as a child back because that was all gone. So there was an antique store in the town that I live in. It's a small town, and it was a little antique store. And it was all by consignment. They had lots of stuff in there. They had comic books, they had video game systems, they had toys, they had actual real antique stuff. When I say real antique stuff, like real antique stuff. They had old dressers, they had old pictures, they had lots and lots of old stuff, old lamps, all that kind of that antique-y stuff, right? So we went in there one day just to take a look, to see what we could find, see if there's anything in there. We weren't looking for anything, and I wasn't really thinking there would be any Nintendo games in there, because to me, antique at the time didn't mean there's going to be video games in there, because that just made me feel old thinking that. So we're in there walking around, looking to see what we can see, and we come around a corner, and there's a little booth, and they have some glass display cases with different odds and ends in them, and they have video games. They had Super Nintendo games, they had Nintendo games, they had Genesis games, had a little selection of those. So I kind of looked through them. I picked up a few that day. I was kind of excited. There's a place I can get Nintendo games in my little town. So off we go. So this leads us to, I've been there a few times. The seed is planted in my head by this point that maybe I should start collecting these NES games and Super Nintendo games at the time. I was just going to do all of them. So I go in there the one day. I was waiting around in town. I was in town in the morning. It was a Sunday. Was in town in the morning. They were open on the Sunday, and I was waiting for a buddy. We're gonna go off to the city and go for lunch and stuff. So I go into this antique store, and I know where I'm going by this point. I've been quite a few times. So I walk around the corner, and by this point I had looked into collecting NES games, and I thought it'd be cool to have the whole selection, all the NES games. And so I looked into it. I'd done the research, figured it out, and I realized how expensive some of them were. And I was like, okay, this isn't in my realm right now. But it was something I was planning on doing down the road, I thought, anyways. But at the time, it wasn't something I wasn't super educated on it at the time. I didn't know a lot about it, but I did know a few games, and I knew a few of them were pretty expensive. And this one, there was a reason why I knew it was kind of expensive, and that leads back to my toy collecting. So I go into the store Sunday morning, walk around the corner, and they've restocked, whoever's booth this is has restocked their games, and in the glass display case, there's this. Bucky O'Hare. Captain Bucky O'Hare. In box. Now, I didn't know the condition of the cartridge at the time. I didn't know if it had the manual. I didn't know anything. All it said was $60. It said $60 on it. So I asked. I said, excuse me, I want to look at some of the Nintendo games. So the lady comes around the corner. We open the display case. I take it out and I look at it and I say, this is $60? She says, yeah, that's what they got it marked at. So whoever was selling these games had marked this at $60. So I opened it up. I looked inside. Inside, I find the black NES sleeve. I find a copy of Bucky O'Hare with some slight damage on the label, minimal damage on the label. It's the cartridge, it's there. Also, I pull out the instruction manual, complete in box. I found it complete in box for $60. The instruction manual has some wear on it. It's definitely been read and looked at. Anyway, the box has a little bit of damage on it as well. I mean, it wasn't in pristine condition, but these games they're old. So the box has a little bit, let's get focus. So the box has a little bit of damage on the corner here, and a little bit of stress damage on this spine here. But all in all, the box is actually in pretty good condition. So I asked again. I said, this is $60. So I didn't want it to be incorrect. I didn't want it to come back on the person selling it to me that they sold it for cheaper than it should have been. And she said, no, they price all their own stuff. This is $60. So I said, okay. I said, I'll take it. Like, I looked and I knew it was a pricier game. I didn't know the price it was. I just knew it was worth more than $60 and it was coming home with me. And the reason I knew that is because I was collecting some Ninja Turtle figures at the time. So I was reminiscing of all those cool toys, those two toy lines and cartoons that came out back then that tried to ride that Ninja Turtles wave. And Bucky O'Hare was one of them. So knowing that it was worth a little bit, at least a little bit more than $60, thinking it was worth that, I was like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm gonna pay $60 for this and I'm gonna get ripped off. Like, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it's more than $60. So I hustle across the parking lot of this antique store, across the road, across the parking lot, like I've stole something. Like, I'm hustling because I'm like, I'm sure. I know this is worth something. My phone's in my pocket. I could have looked, but I didn't look in the store because I guess that I wasn't even thinking about it at the time. I was just like, I'm pretty sure this is more than $60. So I jump in the vehicle, take it out of the box, open up, look at it again, get out my phone, and I look it up. And at the time, this in box it said it was worth like $200 and some dollars, $300. So I thought, this is awesome. This is awesome. So I put it in the back seat and tucked it away safe and sound and brought it home. Went for lunch with a buddy and brought it home that night and went and got a frame for it, hung it up, got a plastic sleeve, one of these plastic sleeves for it, hung it up, put it away, checked, made sure it worked, played it a little bit, and it sat there. Now, it sat there for about 6 years up till this point because I didn't know I wanted to collect. I knew I wanted to collect Nintendo games, but I didn't know it was going to be just Nintendo games until now. And I didn't know I was actually really going to go for the full collection or start a YouTube channel. So this one is special to me because of the circumstances in which I found it and the memory of finding it and that excitement, which is part of what I want to bring to this. I'm going to go game hunting. We're going to do a lot more of it. We have some videos out already about game hunting, but there's going to be a lot more. I'm going to start going to conventions. We're going to do Edmonton Expo here coming up, and we are going to do, I guess by the time this video comes out, I've already been to Edmonton Expo, but after this video comes out, I'm headed to Really Rad Weekend, so hopefully I can find some cool stuff there. I'm excited to start going on little adventures like this and collecting stuff. We're going to start checking out pawn shops, more antique stores. Flea markets seem to be a little different up here, but I'm excited to go down to the States and go hunting down there in all the different versions of how things are. And see, I'm excited to see the difference. I'm excited for the adventure.
I'm going on an adventure!
So hopefully you'll join me on this adventure as I try to collect all the licensed games released in North America for the NES. So that's 678 games. That's a lot of games. I'm at 118 as of this video right now, so there's like a lot left. I got a long run here, but hey, hopefully it'll be a fun run. It's going to be an expensive run in the end of the day. So to help me out, click the like button, hit the subscribe, watch my videos if you enjoy my content, and help me get there, because everything that comes in from this is going back into this. So everything that comes in here is going to go back to the games, and it's going to help me get to that collection. So until next time, I'm going to play a little bit of Bucky O'Hare, check it out, and yeah, that is the best find I have so far in my video game collecting. And I guess not a bad one. Again, $60 for a game that's priced at $900 now. I think I did pretty good. So until next time, I will see you later. Bye!